Welcome back, everyone, to night number 43 on Uncle Three's Ghost Story channel. The tale I'm spinning tonight is actually based on a real-life reality show that happened in Thailand. We're talking about the early 2000s, roughly between the years 2000 and 2008, back when everyone was still shooting on those old DV tapes. Those DV tapes were super inconvenient. While a short film only needed one, big TV stations or professional film crews had to buy tons of them. If I remember correctly, filming everywhere in Asia before 2005 required those bulky tapes. This story starts with a camera team at a Thai TV station. The guy who told me the story, let's call him Sam, was one of the staff members on the crew for this reality show. So what was the show? Back then, the real estate market in Thailand was booming. The owners of large property corporations came up with a trick. They sponsored the TV station to produce documentaries and real-life segments about ghosts and haunted locations, or more accurately, places rumored to be possessed. If a building or plot of land were rumored to have ghosts, the TV crew would show up to film. Sam was part of that camera team. But here's the sinister part. The tycoons weren't interested in the spiritual side. They wanted to exploit the show to sell parcels of land that had been abandoned for years. The show had a two-part format. First, they'd air a segment telling the gruesome truth about the terrifying haunted land. Then, the network would move to the next stage, cleansing the area thoroughly. They would bring in three main people: a supposedly famous sorcerer or exorcist, a host, and a guest. They would enter the haunted houses, schools, or apartments to film and then cleanse the area, disproving the ghost rumors using the exorcist. The show was split into multiple episodes. The first would cover the area's rumored hauntings. Then the sorcerer would arrive to explore the location, experience some thrills, and eventually cleanse the site. Now, the director sometimes used little tricks, maybe a smoke machine for a hazy, spooky effect, or wires to drop white dummies quickly past the camera to fake a fleeting shadow or a ghost. The ultimate goal was for the sorcerer to successfully cleanse the area, either by trapping the ghost in a jar to worship back home, or by helping the spirit move on. And here was the payoff. Immediately afterward, the real estate companies would buy the land, declare it ghost-free, and start building condos or resorts to make a fortune. Just as they hoped, the program was a massive hit with Thai audiences, and advertising profits went through the roof. It became one of the most famous reality shows of its time. However, a show based on deceiving the audience, if it avoids the law, eventually answers to karma. Sam said the show had excellent ratings, as most people watched TV back then. Yet, after one terrible incident, the show was permanently cancelled. Sam recounted that the crew had successfully filmed at 4 or 5 locations. But when they arrived at a huge abandoned 6-story dormitory, actually a massive 30,000 square meter condo complex split into sections A and B, everything changed. The script for this particular haunted dorm was intense. The sorcerer was supposed to set up an exorcism altar with offerings. He would summon the evil spirit. He'd do a few dramatic rituals to make the show seem credible, look right into the camera, and declare, "Everything is peaceful now. This condo is stable, and we hope real estate investors will come in to build a stable resettlement area. That was the plan. On that day, though, the director suddenly got a different idea. He thought the script was getting old, having been repeated 4 or 5 times. So, he told the crew to pretend to turn off their machines and leave the set, leaving the sorcerer to do his ritual alone. The host made up an excuse that the ghost's appearance was too terrifying for people to stay nearby. In reality, 5 or 6 cameras were secretly aimed directly at the sorcerer from behind. The original plan called for the ghost to float past him from the 3rd floor slowly. The ghost was a dummy in a red dress, pre-rigged to catch fire when the sorcerer threw a talisman. Just as the crew was stringing up the wires on the 3rd floor, getting ready to pull the dummy down, they heard something that froze them. From the very top floor, level 6, came the sound of a woman laughing. It was an echoing, chilling laugh reverberating through the empty building. They knew the condo had been wholly abandoned. Right after the woman's laughter, they heard the sounds of children giggling from the hallways on both sides. Then, a vast, sickening whoosh. Something dropped from the 6th floor. All 45 people on the set saw it. It was the shape of a woman. You couldn't see her face, but her hair was incredibly long down to her ankles. She swept down right next to the sorcerer and vanished. It took less than 5 seconds from the moment she appeared to the moment she was gone. The sorcerer immediately collapsed onto the ground. Half of the crew thought this was still just a director's elaborate stunt. They kept quiet until the director finally signaled for a break. When they looked closer, they saw the awful truth. A piece of aluminum was stuck in the side of the sorcerer's head, and part of his brain was visible. They rushed him to the hospital, but he was already dead. Because of this accident, the film crew was blamed for unsafe working conditions. The crew members swore to the police that a woman had flown down and murdered the sorcerer. To prove it, they showed the Thai police the DV tapes. But when the footage was played back, they saw nothing. All that was recorded was a piece of aluminum flying straight down from above and embedding itself in the poor man's head. Things got tense. Since the death had occurred, the real estate companies immediately halted all activity and silenced the press. If this incident spreads, their new projects would face massive financial harm. They negotiated privately with the sorcerer's family and completely scrapped the entire reality show. The TV station announced publicly that the project was on hold and would be replaced with a better spiritual program. But, as Sam pointed out, only those directly involved knew the actual reason. Sam later explained the truly horrifying history of that location, which the show's producers had ignored in their effort to deceive the public. In the 1980s, the land belonged to a Thai man of Chinese descent who planned to build a hospital. As surrounding areas developed, people moved away, and the hospital became underutilized. The Thai government eventually repurposed the site. Half was turned into a drug processing plant, and the other half was built into 2 dormitories, one for men and one for women, for the factory workers. Workers living there started falling in love. A girl in Dorm A lost for a man in Dorm B, but he was married, and his entire family worked at the same factory. The girl was determined to steal him. She played tricks to make the man misunderstand his wife. When others in the community found out, they shamed insulted, and verbally abused her every day. Driven by humiliation and hatred, the girl bought a red dress, drank poison, and killed herself in her room. Her spirit became extremely vengeful. This evil entity roamed the factory, causing chaos. The haunting climaxed when 7 people in the plant suddenly died. This group included the entire family of the man she had desired. Rumors spread, the factory closed, and residents fled, leaving the complex abandoned once more. Later, a property company bought the site, tore it down, and built the 6-story condo. They sold the nice, new units cheaply. Unknowing buyers moved in. The very first residents reported terrifying sounds. Children laughing, dishes clattering, as if people were eating in empty houses. Most distinctively, they constantly heard the sound of a woman laughing late at night. Some residents found their toilets clogged. When they used a plumbing snake, they pulled up a bright red fetus. People on the 6th floor often saw a girl in a red dress with long hair. Most people fled in terror. The rare, brave person who actually got a glimpse of her face saw her eyes bulging out, and she was often sitting up there singing. Residents hired an exorcist to drive out the spirit. A Chinese sorcerer came, summoned the vengeful female ghost to talk, and attempted to subdue her using Chinese deities. He locked himself in a room. Half a day had passed, and he hadn't emerged. So the residents finally forced the door open out of worry. They found the Chinese sorcerer dead. He was sitting in an iron chair with blood dripping from his mouth onto the floor. This was the last straw. The residents were so terrified that they accepted their financial losses and moved out. The building became an abandoned condo yet again. This was the cursed location the reality show tried to buy, cleanse, and flip. They failed to anticipate that the spirit was too powerful to be subdued. Sam stressed that all 45 people present that day witnessed the ghost in the red dress swoop down. However, when the tapes were reviewed, the camera only captured the piece of metal falling from the 6th floor. The film crew couldn't report to the police, "We just saw a ghost kill the sorcerer." Instead, they were fined and severely warned for failing to maintain safety during filming. Sam's final message was a stark warning. He emphasized that Thailand still has countless haunted condos and cursed locations spread across many provinces. If you're buying property or starting anything new, please ask the long-time residents nearby if the area has a gruesome history. Don't ever let a beautiful, shiny building exterior fool you into thinking it's a safe place to settle down.